So I owe everyone an explanation on why I've been gone for a week, or in the case of YouTube, a month. There's been so many problems in my life right now, and I just needed a break. I apologize to the small amount of people that are eager for an upload from me, which I find a little hard to believe considering my previous content and my lack of interest of this channel. My claim to quote unquote fame is low quality, low effort, 10-second videos that manage to break more than 10,000 views, which may not seem too much to you in comparison to your favorite big channels that bring in hundreds of thousands. But it is a lot for a small channel like mine. And I'm quite ashamed of how well those videos do, since I know many people with a smaller audience than mine that put actual effort and hours into their video, unlike me, but struggle to pass even 500 views on one video. Heck, my most viewed video with 55,000 views is only 8 seconds long. I do apologize for abusing the system and leaving people who actually work behind in the dark. I'm also in a dark place in my life right now, where I don't know what I'm doing. I feel lonely and like I'm in a dark pit with no signs of light at the top. I've been demotivated to do anything and nothing seems to be working for me. I try to hide my emotions from other people. I'd rather make them laugh than worry about me. I enjoy entertaining people, but I feel the way I'm doing it is a deception and a mockery. But I can no longer hide it, or I'll just scream. And because of this, I'm seriously contemplating quitting YouTube and having no aim to entertain. I also attribute the game that built my channel to my demotivation. I tried to build a channel with multiple games, ranging from Call of Duty to GTA to Fortnite and to other story games, but to no avail. It was Apex that brought my hopes up and now crashing them down. I half blame myself and half the game for this, my lack of effort and the ever so declining game. When I first played Apex Legends, I was almost intrigued by it and enjoyed it for a little while, only to drop it a week later due to my blind conscience that kept me playing a game that I also knew was dying. And when I returned a few months later at the end of Season 1, I immediately fell in love with it. The game continued to be entertaining and enjoyable for me and everyone who played it, even though there were a few upsets that were a sign of what to come, even though we didn't realize it. So what happened? What went wrong with Apex? It remained playable up till Season 3 when a new twisted and cash grab matchmaking system was stealthily implemented into the game. That was even denied by developers, like they say no, this system is not in the game, when clearly it was, since it had been tested by almost everyone. Only it wasn't as bad as it was. As it is today. Despite the frustration of dying many times when you didn't have a pre-made squad, the developers continued to push out content that kept the game alive and interesting to play. Up until Season 4 we had numerous game modes that were enjoyable and original. It was not until Season 5 that we had our first dry spell since Season 1. Almost. Previous game modes were added with collection events with the title Evolved slapped onto them to not make it look unoriginal. Hadn't it been for the outstanding PvE mode that was original content, the season would have been one of the worst in Apex history. Season 6 remained quite boring with the September soiree being recycled game modes, but the Shadow Royale event, a twist on the previous Fight or Fright, proved to be enjoyable to some extent. With Season 7, LTMs no longer became options, but rather takeovers with little effort put into them. The Winter Express V2, however, also saved the season. With Season 8, the game was at its lowest point, even though it was the most content-packed season after Season 3. It still was underwhelming with the game modes that were takeovers that no one enjoyed as they were quite annoying. And now Season 9 Arenas, a game mode that is far better than Battle Royale, at least in my opinion, but it still does not give you that same level of satisfaction as the Battle Royale genre. And then a whole dry spell for more than a month, at which at the end we got the Genesis event. While nostalgic, still a display of the little effort gone into an event after a whole month of absolutely nothing. The return of old maps is something that we could have had out of an event, as we had this before with Season 1's King Canyon returning as an LTM before, and that was not included in any event. What I find worse is the lack of Respawn's interest in the well-being of their actual fanbase that plays the game. They cater towards the artsy side of the community, which is not a bad thing since they do come up with interesting pieces, but what's more important is caring about the player base that is sacrificing their sanity to play this messy yet such a beauty of a game. It's a shame how good of a game Apex is in its genre, but it's been ruined by the developers themselves. It's arguably the best game for mechanics, movement, rewards, and the competitive scene in the battle royale genre. Yet it's becoming harder and harder to argue these points with ignorant Call of Duty and Fortnite players when I myself am struggling to enjoy the game. Bugs here, bugs there, a poorly optimized engine, crap servers of a company they made a contract with, servers being DDoSed, hackers running loose, outdated UI. It's just too much. Apex has taken a toll on me, and not for the better. Sure, I've met amazing people in this community who have changed my life, built a reputation on the internet that I never had before, but it's affected my personal life in so many ways. My mental health goes down the drain every time I sit down to play with the intention of having fun. My attitude has drastically changed as I lash out at everyone, my family, friends, random people. It's hard to contain my anger, and as I scream out of rage, it has an effect on the people around me. Every time I try to record a video, it's quickly shut down because of my excessive raging. I don't upload these videos because I don't want to be labelled as a man who constantly shouts at a screen, a man who complains all the time, a toxic person that should be crapped on, because that's how the gaming community perceives it, unfortunately. The developers just don't care. They care about the game but not the fan base. EA's greed trickled down to what was a great company that revolutionized the gaming industry with games that shaped my childhood and had me engaged in gaming for the longest time. This company makes changes and balances according to a useless datasheet that doesn't display the true strength of a said legend or weapon. Any slight constructive criticism is taken with bags of salt, resulting in a block. They hide behind their screens, afraid of judgment, and when they do come out their little holes, they face a community with arrogance and are bombarded with the rightful backlash. And then they complain that they are being disrespected, acting like they are the victims. They want to be credited for the hard work they do, but what credit is there to give if that work is not enjoyed by the people who actually play the game? If the people are not enjoying that work, that means you're not putting in the hard effort that you think you are putting into the game. They compare the game to a cafe with them as the owners and chefs, and us, the customers. Isn't the customer always supposed to be right though? The cafe slowly burns every day. Not to mention some of the community is to blame too. Every day there's some new drama that comes up, exposing someone for this and that, people deactivating, people being forced off from the internet because of unnecessary toxicity and whatnot, racism, pedophilia, everything. It's just sad. This is a gaming community. We're supposed to have fun, and this is what it's turned into. Usually there is a good side and a bad side, but not in the case of this stupid game. I haven't played Apex in a month, and I was the happiest I ever was in these past 2 years, up until this week when I started questioning my life and going through an existential crisis. Maybe it's the best for me that I quit for the sake of my mental health. I plan to not play the game for another month until season 10, and I'll have a conditional return that the devs listen to us and fix the game and make it more engaging. Like I'm legit, I want to switch to Apex Mobile when it comes out. It seems to be better than the game we're playing right now. Even if I were to quit for good, what would they care? For them, I'm just one of millions. But what they don't realize is that if they do keep this up, that one will turn into tens, into thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even millions. If a dev somehow manages to see this, which I highly doubt, consider having a heart for the sake of your players.